Okay. Avatar, Mayor Baba, DJ. Okay, guys, here we are. The ocean sounds really beautiful, doesn't it? We are gathered here to honor and celebrate the life of Daniel Joseph Files. There he is. Look at him. I just want to say that we appreciate so much as a family this community and all these people that love Daniel so much. It's impossible to put it into words how touching it's been and how affirming of Baba's love it has been and his grace. I also want to say that we are honoring Baba's way of celebrating when somebody drops their body. And we, especially with Daniel, we felt like, of course, this was the way. But I also want you guys to know that we're going to cry a lot. And it's going to be nice. It's going to be nice to cry together and honor and celebrate and remember together and be together forever in Daniel's love and specialness. See, here we go.
Love you, Mikey.
It's there's a quote that came about. I feel like maybe Molly or Ronnie pulled this quote, or somebody. I don't know. It came out of, and when the news first hit, and I feel like it's been sort of our lodestar. It was from Kitty Davy in her book Love Alone Prevails, I believe. It says, Baba always encouraged us to face the death of our loved ones, not with undiluted sadness, but with an alloy, a mixture of happiness and sadness. Sadness for our loss, but happiness for their gain. And it feels very true. So, I want to let you guys know how this is going to proceed. Yeah, Giorgio. We have several groups of Daniel's very close ones, of course, our family that got to spend all these years with Daniel. And then various different groups we've asked to come say something. So we're not doing like an open mic, just so you guys know. But we've loved to hear so many stories from everyone, and maybe we can figure out a way to do that in the future. Oh well, yeah. Sorry, and we have another group Zoom on May 4th.
But there will be an open mic.
There will be an open mic,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
Check your emails.
So check your emails. Yeah. So without further ado, Janet Files.
Mostly, I just want to say that I hope I find my notes. But just because I had a quote I wanted to read. But to me, you think you know a person like your son. And I must say, I have to just shout out that Daniel's midwife is even here. And and his kindergarten teacher and his first grade teacher almost. And and it's just so much love is shared and shown when I didn't know how many people, this sounds terrible, how many people loved Daniel so much, you know, and loved us so much. And so one of the things about Daniel was he was really such a bringer of harmony. Like he worked hard. We had a lot of times where he would talk to me about who he was worried about that wasn't getting along, and he would work hard on that. You know, he wanted people to be able to feel the love that is there. And you're all a tribute of that. I mean, everybody, I can just look out here and see how many ways he connected people. And the other thing about Daniel that you might know was he brought so much joy, but he also really struggled in his life to get everything in. So one of the things he would sweat about, and my Lord, we would spend time with, should I do this or should I do that, or how can I fit 18 things into this small 1 day period of time or whatever it was. So, right? Yes. So some of us spent some time with that, yes. So one of the things that I would just like to say is thank you so much for loving us, for loving Daniel, for honoring his life in this way. And I wanted to, of course, read a quote from Baba because he gets it perfectly. And this is what you all are showing me in real time. Baba said, love is essentially self-communicative. Those who do not have it catch it from those who have it. True love is unconquerable and irresistible. And it goes on gathering power and spreading itself until eventually it transforms everyone whom it touches. So thank you for letting Daniel touch your life. Thank you for touching my life. And I'm now going to pass the baton and get a Kleenex. All right. All right. Who's next?
We would love to have the first teachers in Daniel's life, his beloved first in kindergarten teachers. Is that right, Mom?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Marty Hancock in squad, right?
And any teachers.
And any teachers that would like to come on.
Nice shoes.
Oh, thank you.
Daniel approved.
He would. I'm so glad. Hi, I'm Marty. I had the privilege of being Daniel's kindergarten teacher, but I knew him.
Little closer to your
Oh,
face.
sorry, I don't do these well. But I knew him before that. Janet did part of her dissertation research in my classroom, and one day she came in and she was like, "I feel very strange. I think I might be pregnant." And I was like, "Oh, good Lord, you got 3 kids and you're working on a dissertation. What more do you need? More drama in your life?" But it was Daniel, and what lovely drama it was. The kindergarten year with Daniel was quite delightful because it wasn't just Daniel. It was Patrick. Where are you, Patrick? My Patrick. And it was Zach. Zach? My 3 musketeers. And,
God bless you.
and the story, I have 2 little stories about kindergarten. If you know Patrick and Daniel at all, you know that the minutia of packing a book bag and grabbing your lunchbox and getting your coat before you go home, there was just too much else to do. There were blocks and books and songs. And poor Zach, every afternoon, Zach, "Did you get your book bag? Go get your book bag. It's in here. Do you need me to pack your book bag for you? I will pack your book bag for you. Daniel, you do not have a coat. Get your coat." When I think about them, I think about the joy that the 3 of them shared. And I think about Zach ushering them out with their things every afternoon. I told Isaac earlier, when I think about them, it is so fondly. I could weep with the joy that those boys brought to me. And Daniel continued to be a joy. I have a note from Carrie McCauley-Child, who was his first and second grade teacher. She's unable to be here, so I'm just going to read it if I may.
Thank you.
May I?
Yeah.
I am Carrie McCauley's child, and I was privileged to teach Daniel in first and second grade at Myrtle Beach Primary. He was the student that you will never forget because of the mark he left on your life. Daniel was sweet, compassionate, kind, full of life, and especially creative. He never met a stranger and could talk to anyone. Daniel was one of those students who inspired everyone to be better. We had a daily tradition of having a friendship circle, and we would kick off every morning by sharing, reading, and singing. I remember looking around the circle daily as we sang our monthly friendship song, and I could always count on Daniel to be pouring his heart into the song. He truly was a performer at heart with an imagination that soared. One memory I would like to share that to me sums up Daniel's creativity and individuality was an assignment where the students were to do an oral biographical presentation of someone they admired. Minutes before Daniel's presentation, he rushed into our classroom bathroom. You could hear sounds and movement going on, and then it got louder and there were thuds, and not long after it was Daniel's turn, and I called to him to be sure he was okay and to let him know he was next. Well, the door slowly opened, and out he strode in a lovely flowing green gown, platform-type shoes, and an Eleanor Roosevelt mask on. The students were mesmerized by his presentation. Not one student questioned his attire because they knew Daniel was full of surprises. They all loved and admired Daniel and appreciated him. We will always love Daniel. He meant the world to me, and after 2 beautiful, memorable years together, he presented me with a homemade published book called Daniel and Molly's Adventures. When I retired years later, I gave away most of my school mementos to former students, but this one I kept because it was such a treasure to me. I have kept it always in a special place, but now I want to pass this keepsake on to his family. Now his family can have this treasure to pass on to the generations to come of the Files family. They will give them a way to connect to Daniel and experience his personality via the written word. This book gives a true sense of Daniel's creative mind and artistic talent, even at an early age. Thank you for letting me share and be a part of this memorable event, celebrating a precious soul to me, to all of you, and to the world. He lived life to the fullest, and I admire him for so many reasons, but mainly for always being true to himself. And that's from Carrie. When I was thinking about Daniel, I've known him since like the day he was born.
Yeah.
I have. Before. And I think the thing that was so remarkable about Daniel, and it's funny, Janet, that you talked about this too, is how loved he was. Michael and William and Margaret adored him. From day one, you adored him. He had parents who adored him. He had grandparents who adored him. He had sitters and friends and neighbors who adored him. And I think how loved he was, extravagantly loved, and what a gift that is to spend your life in that extravagant love. And just to extend, I am still friends with many of Daniel's teachers. And so I had a call today from 2 of them. Joanne Smith, his 4th grade teacher, said, "Please tell them how much I love Daniel." And Judy Anabinet, his 5th grade teacher, said, "Please tell them how much I love Daniel." To live a life that loved, it's a gift. It is a gift. And he was a gift. And thank you.
So next, we'd love to call up the Daniel's Babysitter Club. As Marty said, surrounded by people that adored him his whole life, and there was a wonderful team of very capable mannies and nannies, and all the babysitters that helped raised Daniel.
Just a sampler.
I was told to keep this short and sweet and sassy. I'm going to do mine real quick and get
Tell
out of the
them
way.
who you are.
Hi, I'm Drew. How's everybody doing? I'm about to cry, so I'm going to
come
try
a-
to make
a little this
it
way.
much quicker.
We have a mic here for the camera, so that's why.
Oh, there you go. Technology. It's a good family for that. During the mid and early mid-90s, I was spent a lot of time, some would say an unhealthy amount of time at the Files house. I was definitely conscious more at their home than I was at my own. My reasons for going over there were many. A lot of the time it was doing chores, one after the other. Sometimes it was babysitting. Sometimes it was digging them a new septic tank, whatever. But one of the things I could always guarantee was that if I was doing something and I had my back turned and it got quiet, like a spider monkey, Daniel will jump on me with the battle cry of, "Torture me." Sometimes, if we were in a generous mood, super torture. And, I did what I did. Yeah, I think we tried to the best of our abilities to appease him. But here's the thing. I don't have much of a relationship with Daniel after that. Because not long after I left, and I would see him on occasion, and it was pleasant. But I just want to thank everybody here for sharing such amazing stories, because I'm getting to know him in a way that I didn't before. And as much as I treasured him and our relationship when he was back there, this is new, and this is an exceptional gift. So thank you.
Every time.
I'm Erich Adams, and I don't know if I'm going to cry or not, but so I wrote a few things down just so I don't lose my train. But pretty much right on the back of what Drew just said, I started going over to the Files house. I was 18 just after high school, and we would just be there socially. And Daniel started ambushing me, but to describe it, it was just this combination of picking him up, throwing him about, tickling him. Like, he loved this sort of kinetic energy, this feel of and he was laughing. His laughter would kick off our laughter, and then anyone else around, they'd start laughing, and then he'd laugh more. But I was thinking about it, because the other thing about him at that age, his dream in life was to become a railroad designer. No, sorry.
Roller coaster tycoon.
Roller coaster. I'm thinking of Railroad Tycoon. Roller coaster tycoon. He wanted to design roller coasters, and this idea of just things that move fast and are really fun and you're laughing. And I was like, God, this is just Daniel across the board. Fast moving, fun, a little bit dangerous. Sometimes we'd get rough housing and he'd be like, okay, that's enough. He kind of had this, but just on the edge of that danger and fun. But yeah, I was I think the first Manny, right? We didn't even have a word for it. I was a little can guys be nannies? I don't know. But I was just around the house, and Janet's so good at utilizing the resources she sees before her, and their other nanny had just quit, and I don't know, but I kind of just imagined her that one there. And it was a crazy idea. I never would have looked out for that kind of employment, but it was I'll try it. I was really enjoying Daniel. That's the thing. Daniel was so delightful. Him and Margaret got along so well. She did a lot of the work. She, in the sense of the entertainment part. In fact, that was the thing. I had to get in my head I have a duty of care. This isn't just a tickle fest. I've got to actually pick them up with a car and not kill them and feed them. Learn about the banana rounds, cheese whiz, and making 2 different dinners. That was another thing. This trained me for life when I had a kid later, because 2 different dinners. I was why would we do that? But remember, just plain, please. I would do stuffed shells and manicotti, for the adults, and I'd offer it to Daniel, and he'd say, just plain, please. And it'd be just plain old spaghetti,
Yeah, or something with soy sauce, yeah. So, I'm just going to jump ahead because the next big phase that I spent a really quality time with Daniel was 8 years later for his first youth sahabas. I happened to be his counselor and I got to see these kids that used to come over to play with Daniel. You know, Oliver and Zach and Patrick and a lot of these guys. And so now they're teenagers and they're in this whole different phase of life, and they're just like kind of expanding their horizons. And seeing Daniel again, like, you know, I checked in once in a while, but to like really spend that quality time with him was a real blessing. It was very special. He was fearless. He wanted to jump right in. He very rarely do like first year campers want to direct and write the men's play. That's usually like you slowly, you know, you got to graduate into that. He's like took it over. He took it over, wrote most of it, directed it, and I was very impressed with that. And it was just fun to work because I usually would help produce them, you know, and working with him in that way, it was like, this is so much fun. And just by coincidence, I was about to have my first child later that year, and he was just asked me questions about it and was so curious about this kid who wasn't even born yet. And then when Simon did come, in fact, we had our wedding here, and right over there, we did an open mic night, which may have been a mistake, but I was really surprised and excited. Like, Daniel just picked up the mic, and I was like, oh my God, what's he gonna say? And it did start with kind of roasting me for a little bit, but then he like went into this whole idea he had where he made a vow that by the time Simon grows up and goes to his first Sahavas, I shall be his first counselor, and I will help shape his mind or mold his mind. And he would talk about this, like, and I'd see him later, and kind of flippantly, but I think he liked this idea of like paying it back, like a circle of something. And so when finally, 13 years later, Simon did go to his first Sahavas, Daniel had already kind of aged out of being a counselor. But he was there. He was working in the kitchen, and he just found these little ways to include Simon, you know, his first year. And I think maybe Charlie was there, like, they, you know, get him into squirt gun fights and water fights and all this stuff. They were just like trying to give him extra attention. And this like last day, Daniel made him I don't know what it was. It was like a giant pancake cookie in the shape of a face, and I don't know if it was supposed to be Baba or Santa Claus. It looked a lot more like Santa, to be honest. I looked at the picture again. I'm like, that's kind of Santa. But anyways, but he presented it to Simon, and like everybody's saying, I don't even know if like they pretended it was his birthday or something, and just like this very special thing. And I felt like he like made good on whatever that vow meant to him. Like he made good on it that year. So thank you, Daniel.
Hi everyone, Jay Baba, Jonathan Ramsden, Files Family Manny, circa 2000. So I moved to Myrtle Beach in 2000 after college to work on the center a little bit, and not long after I moved there, I heard, Jonathan, have I got something for you? Talk about using the resources, and soon thereafter I became Manny number 3. So yeah, Daniel and I got off to a little bit of a slow start. So he's 10 at this point, somewhere around there, and I was pretty sure he wasn't sort of so sure about me. He figured me out. He started to scowl a little bit sometimes. I think he told me once he didn't like me. I was just thinking about a few stories that sort of like symbolized our transition, you know, in our relationship when he was 10 at that time. And he played video games a lot, and he also had a lot to do on his schedule, and he had to be places, and he had dinner to eat and all that sort of stuff. And once in our sort of like feeling each other out phase, he was playing a game that he was losing at, and the more he lost, the more upset he got. He was just digging in more and more. I said, Daniel, we have to, I can't remember if I had to take him somewhere, or it was dinner time. Let's just say it was dinner time. Is there time for dinner? And the more I said that, the more he ignored me, and the more frustrated he got with his game. He's like breathing hard and losing more, and like exasperated, throwing his control all over the place. And I must have said 3 or 4 times, my level's kind of ratcheting up too, like, Daniel, we have to stop. We got to go to dinner. He's playing. And finally, I'm like, Daniel, can we stop? Go to dinner. And he loses his game. He stares at me, and I'm like staring at him. We got like this stare off. And I think he must have eventually come to dinner, but Janet eventually said, he's a Leo. You got to give him a wide berth. But much like Erich, we eventually discovered our connection through like physical play and running around. And eventually he allowed himself to be very tossable by me. And I remember we were in a parking lot, and I feel like it must have been ice skating. I took him and Oliver too. And they just had a good time, and we were going back to the car, and somehow I was carrying Daniel, and Oliver, I don't know if you remember this, Oliver, but Oliver was just like jumping all over me. And he basically ran from behind and like jumped on my back and like bounced off. And I'm literally carrying Daniel and I'm falling forward. And I realize I'm losing my balance. Like Daniel's about to splat on the concrete. And so I fall forward and Oliver bounces off of me. And I do the only thing I can think of doing, which is like, as gingerly as possible, laying Daniel down on the concrete and me doing a complete somersault over him to like take all the momentum like away from him. Anyways, I never told you about that one, Janet.
So you
Yeah.
lived.
Yeah, so I lived, yes. I lived to tell the tale. And of course, then later on, as Erich talked about, I remember Daniel from Sahavas. Just such, as a kid, I'd never met a kid who was like so entirely himself at that age. He had, he was emotional and all that sort of stuff, but the creativity and the degrees to which he was thinking about stuff, all sorts of stuff. Just very unique and very special, as we know. And I think the last thing I just want to say here is to Billy and Janet. I have actually envisioned this type of gathering in your honor, and so I think the both of you have housed and supported countless people of my generation and then since then. And you truly are sort of institutions in this community. You welcomed so many kids over the years, right? Into your home. You might have questioned some of the ones you let in your house, but I truly I've always felt, I just want you to know, such a deep sense of gratitude to you both for how you help support and build this community and support forging relationships that are going to last a lifetime. So, I love you guys a lot, and I'm grateful to be able to be here. So thanks. Hey, Robert.
Just stand like here.
Right here.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
No, this is a,
Sorry.
we need that. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Hey, hi, everybody. I'm Kate Brown. And I was fortunate to have Daniel and Margaret in my life and the Files family. Daniel was so blessed to be born into such a loving family and connected family and Baba's love. And in 1999 and 2000, well, I was their piano teacher and babysitter, as I was for several of you all. And in 1999 and 2000, I was a live-in nanny. I actually lived with the Files and was a nanny. Now, William and Mikey were, of course, gone already. And so it was Margaret and Daniel. Well, Margaret was born an adult, so she didn't didn't need a babysitter. She was telling the babysitter what to do. So, but I was really there for Daniel, and I was Margaret's taxi. So, I have to admit that I fell in love, a pure love with Daniel. And he really honestly made me want to have kids. And sadly, I have no kids, but I have dogs and cats. But seriously, I'm not lying about that. So, you know, they were such busy kids, and my job was to keep him alive. feed him and keep him alive. And so, and as his kindergarten teacher said, it wasn't just Daniel, it was Patrick, Oliver, Zach, Adam, it was the whole gang. Charlie, everybody on the trampoline, it's like all at the same time, and like I'm just like, oh my gosh, please don't break a leg. But I was their music teacher and his nanny, and of course at that age I was closer to the younger Daniel, because the older Daniel, of course, I knew and I was around him, but he was always busy and always doing his life. But the younger Daniel, of course, loved roller coasters and was so anxious about seeing the biggest roller coaster. And then Margaret and Daniel were quite the entertainers and comic group. And they would do these comedy sketches that would just leave you in tears laughing. And they made up sketches, and they filmed them, actually. One was called That's Dumb. It was a TV show called That's Dumb. And then, there were pretty dumb things. And then, of course, and then they had a news show, and the news show, I couldn't remember if it was Narcoleptic Nancy or Catatonic Kathy. It was Catatonic Kathy. So like Margaret would be doing the news, Catatonic Kathy, and and then like Daniel was saying, that's the news. Or like, I remember Margaret had an umbrella, and they turned the umbrella inside out, and she'd be like, of course there was no wind or rain at all. So they were always entertaining, but the most wonderful thing about that time was how he touched my heart, Margaret touched my heart. Margaret was always busy in marching band, and then of course Daniel and Margaret, they went to governor's school. So, but it was absolutely one of the best years of my life, and I wish I would have stayed longer. But I always felt bad I left, and I never probably told Daniel exactly how important that time was with him. I think briefly I did, just to like maybe a couple of months ago, and when he was holding the dog one day and we were talking, and he's just a very special soul, and I feel so fortunate to have known him, and I know that we'll see each other again, and I'm just very grateful for all the time, and the Files family, and he's touched so many hearts, and we all love him so much, and we carry him with him inside. Thank you, Daniel. I really love you.
Thank you. That was really lovely. Next, we'd love to bring up an incredibly special group of guys. We call them, I guess we've been calling them the 89 boys, but it's really the 88, 89 boys. Daniel, I mean, most of you know, there was this amazing thing that happened in the Baba community where all these boys were born at the same time, and they had a lifelong friendship. They're all a little, so, it's been tumultuous sometimes amongst them. But they're such dear boys and dear ones that we love so much, and they love each other so much, and they love Daniel so much. And I mean, what more can you say about the special bond that these guys have? And so yeah, without further ado, we got Joe Dunn. It's like a basketball team. Zach Branch. Oliver Morris. Patrick O'Neill. Charlie Eaton. Aaron Brown. I know there's more of y'all, but Dave Walsh, somewhere out there. You good back there? Okay. Okay, well, I'll let you guys take it away. Oh, yeah, if you're speaking, it's best to come here. Yeah. We have like a little mic for the camera, so it's good to speak here, yeah.
Okay. Hey. Hi, guys.
You can hold it.
Oh, sure. Okay. Hey, everybody. Well, Patrick made a lovely video, which we're going to share. But we all grew up together because we were all born in the same year. And we were like family. We just had this bond because we were born together, and we shared everything. That no matter what happened, we would get in fights and spats and whatever. But it was just like, okay, see you tomorrow. You know, what are we gonna die on this hill? It helped shape all of who we are to have each other to figure out life together, being the same age. And Daniel was just always just such a source of joy, and being at your house was a hub. It was a meeting point. It was a place where we gathered and just have so many beautiful memories. And yeah, I think about all the things that I don't know, help all the things that I helped, that Daniel and helped all of us. I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought.
He's gonna have to be.
Yeah. Just miss him and love him so much.
I think we're going to show a video here that Patrick put together with some. We're going to show a video that Patrick put together, but I think what Zach was saying, we just wanted to sort of reiterate that I think everyone knows we're best friends, but I don't think everyone knew how close we were. We were just incredibly close throughout our entire lives. And I think that even now, I think so many of us, whenever we see something that makes us laugh, we think of Daniel and we want to share it with him. I think, many of us have individual text threads with different ongoing jokes with Daniel. Because he was just so incredibly fun, and his laugh was so infectious that I think we all wanted to have that with him. And so I think maybe we'll just go ahead and show the video. Well, after the video, we'll maybe say a few other words.
some of my most precious childhood memories are of hanging out with Daniel at y'all's house. You know, we'd play video games, stay up late, run around the neighborhood and beach at night, often completely butt naked. There was that banana incident, of course, completely unforgettable. And the energy in your house was always so sweet and energetic and loving. And it was such a different and refreshing experience of family that I didn't have growing up. So I'm just really grateful that y'all always had your doors open to me and the rest of us, and to have been able to spend that, truly precious time with Daniel.
I find myself thinking all the time when things come up that crack me up, or things I find funny or bizarre that tickle me. I immediately think of him with 99% of those things, because I would have wanted to share them with him.
I was very fond of Daniel. He was more of a brother than a friend. Something I admired about him was his ability to have massive disagreements and not get personal. He always stayed just his kind self throughout whatever topic or subject you were having an argument about. It was remarkable.
Daniel never wasted a second of his time on this earth pretending to be anyone but Daniel Files. I always respected that, and I always, I think, looked up to him for that. Everywhere we went, everything we did, he was uncompromising, unapologetically himself. And at the same time, he was always trying to figure out who he was, I guess. And he wanted to live every moment, almost like it was his last, I guess. Everywhere we went, every trip we were on, he wanted to see everything on his list. And he wanted to experience that place like he would never be back there. And he lived an incredible life.
Says it all, right?
So beautiful. So, Daniel had a wonderful, sweet friend named Ada that would love to come up and say a few things. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ada. Thank you. I've got glitter for everyone for the dance party, which hopefully we'll get to soon because we got to get that in. I don't know how I can follow that. It was heartfelt. But I do have notes, so Daniel would want me to put on a smiling face and perform for you guys. So here I am. All right. I think it's pretty clear that we all love Daniel, and we all love the whole Files family so much. I just want to say I don't remember a time in my life when I didn't know and love Daniel. He was my best Papa friend. I remember when we would come to the center growing up, the first thing I would do when we got to the center was run to the original kitchen, a little cubby with the phone, and I would look up the Files number, and I would call Janet, and I was like, "Where's Daniel? Like, when can I come over? Is that cool if I come over anytime?" And she always said, "Of course." I feel like our souls were like magnets. Every time we were with each other, we just were so close. And as little kids sometimes do, we had even planned to marry each other if we hadn't found someone better by the time we were 30. We planned to get married, but by we're 35, we're like, let's get married when we're 35 if we haven't found anyone. Because that happens. It does. I think this was before he realized he was gay. Which actually worked out because we can just still love each other our whole lives. It actually worked out better. At the time, I'll admit, I was thrilled at the idea of being official part of the Files family. As I knew I didn't really have a good chance with Margaret, Mikey, or William. I was like, Daniel's my best shot. I'm going all in. Whatever you need, baby. Whatever you need. When we got to Sahavas, I realized that everyone loves Daniel. So it might not be possible, our love, but it still thrived. It did. I went off to India in 2005 to live as an exchange student. And Daniel wrote me in an email and he said, I searched through the Sahavas mailing for your phone number, but your parents had moved to Hawaii. So I got your grandmother's number and I called her, and I got your mom's email and I emailed her, and I got your email. So he found me in India, and we emailed literally like almost every day when I was over there. He said he couldn't wait to come home and see emails from me, and I felt the same way about him. A lot of it was boring ramblings. He liked to ramble. Honestly, his emails were way longer than mine, even though I was over in India, but he always was encouraging me to tell stories about what I was doing and whatever. But he would tell me about his day-to-day life, going to all of his schools and camps, and he confided in me that the girls at one of his acting camps forced him to be the gay character at one of his improv classes, and they gave him notes on how to stereotypically do that. And he told me all of this. I'm like, okay. I was reading through some of these emails this morning, and I found one from exactly 20 years ago today, wishing me a belated 17th.
Oh.
I'll try to be fast because I know there's other people that want to talk, right? Okay. I'll skip some stuff. He wrote a beautiful poem, but if anyone wants, I'll share it in the message so you can all see it, so we don't take up too much time. You want me to read the poem? Do we have time? It's short. I literally timed my speech out, and I was like, okay, 5 minutes, that'll be good. I'm trying to go fast. All right. Let's see. It was about being a musician. The poem was. Okay, it's called The True Musician. I hold the glittering spiral, curvaceous, beautiful and true. Brave silver horn, metallic but warm. And I worry. I worry that my lips will escape me and wildly throw the notes of the page and into disaster. I worry I'll fall out of soaring harmony. I worry about me, about how I'll play the horn. I'll was in quotes. Sometimes, though, my lips do escape, then elope in an unimagined dream, while the spiraling silver spirit in my lap. On these nights, my soul is turned to gratitude. An involuntary expression of peace fills my bones. On these precious, holy occasions, my horn plays me. Have you ever seen the world light on fire? And then he was like, oh, haha, you don't want to hear my poem. Have you ever seen the world on fire? Danny. Literally, that's how he closed the email. I was lucky enough to have the whole Files family come to India when I was there. And I got to visit them in Ahmednagar, and we all played, and we dressed up, and we laughed nonstop, and ate lots of food. I also got to have them in Hawaii. They came to visit Mikey when he was there, and I went over to Oahu, and we joked that I should come on all their family vacations. And I was like, yes, I'm in. I asked him, this is how I knew Daniel loved me. I asked him to bring me Duke's mayonnaise and the M&M CD to India, which he hated both. But he brought me both. That's how I knew he loved me. We all love, a lot of us love mayonnaise, right? Anyway, time goes on. I'll skip to the end. I got to see Daniel this past Havas, and I was so thrilled to be there again after having been away for a while. And I see him coming up. I didn't even know he was going to be there, but apparently he didn't miss it. So we spent the Sahavas together, and as I was saying goodbye to everyone, I had to leave early and take my nephew home. But saying goodbye, everyone, I love you all. And at that moment, I was hugging Daniel, and I said, but I love you the most, in his ear. And I'm just so grateful that I got to tell him that. And I found out later he was the only one that left me a little note in my mailbox with little hearts and, all that. Anyway, I love you, Daniel, and I know that we're soulmates, and I'll see you again. Thank you.
So up next, we've got the one and only Angie West.
All right, so this song emerged because I mean it was meant for him, and I now know that. Wonder worshiper, oh lover of leaving. None of this matters, and all of it's fleeting. This is not a path of despair. Come along, even though you've broken your vows. I want to sit with you. If I had more to long for, you know I would. If I had more to pray for in this difficult world, you know I would. Static and livid, passing by mirrors without a glance. Lead me back with regret in my hands. Oh, I want to sit with you. If I had more to long for, you know I would. If I had more to pray for in this difficult world, you know I would. Easy does it. Lighten the burden, lighten the burden, lighten the burden. Patience for the long haul. Lighten the burden, lighten the burden, lighten the burden. Same time in the same place, writing the end before it starts. What no person ever longed for, I may really, really want. Standing in the ocean, the current pulls me down. Drowning in the silence while the words get trapped in my mouth. I want to sit with you. If I had more to long for, you know I would. If I had more to pray for in this difficult world, you know I would. Easy does it. Lighten the burden, lighten the burden, lighten the burden. Patience for the long haul. Lighten the burden, lighten the burden, lighten the burden. There you go. I should have sang the ice cream cup song.
Thank you, Angie. Angie was my puppy love from Cullowhee. So next up, Daniel's dear friends Marika and Shireen are going to come up. And then after that, we're going to have Daniel's dear friends from Vassar and The Limit. So Marika, Shireen, come on up.
This is too tall for us. There we go. Can y'all hear us? Yeah. Hey, y'all.
Hi.
Hi.
You can tell Shireen's actually the theater kid.
I know. I'm like right in the camera. Oh, we're really honored to be here, and this is a new outfit. I'm wearing heels that light up in the back. Let's have a moment for the heels. And we wrote things down because we knew we would.
We needed to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Daniel came out to me on my first trip to India. In the last 2 months, we had finally become friends, sudden and intense ones. And then sitting on a low wall in Mehrabad, he held my hand, and in a serious voice, he told me he needed to tell me something. You shouldn't have a crush on me. Because I'm gay. I was stunned that he had a crush, that he thought I could have a crush on him. His big reveal was a bit of an afterthought, and coming out stories rarely play out as we imagine, and I was starting on my own journey of discovering my sexuality. a journey that would bind us together as the queers of Sahavas, where we threw wacky parties and acted out overt heterosexuality, holding croquet balls to each other's mouths and grinding in cages at kink clubs.
Like Marika, self-discovery was at the center of my relationship with Dan. I stumbled into a proper friendship with him at the end of my first Sahavas. During the post-celebration dance party, we found ourselves on opposite ends of the stage, dancing alone, of course, apart from the masses. We clocked each other and made our way to the middle of the stage and immediately transitioned into a dirty dancing adjacent routine that dramatically ended with his sincere attempts to thrust me into the air. And the next day, on my way back home, I received a message from him that read, "Seriously, I didn't even know you existed. What is going on? It must be destiny." And for both of us, to love and be loved by Dan was undoubtedly destiny. We share the sentiment of family and friends about how unique, special, and personal relationships were with him. As a teen, meeting another irreverent, bold, imaginative, sometimes lonely queer kid was life-affirming. And in adulthood, sharing a deep passion for skiing, for social justice, and for art that punched above acceptable boundaries was an anchor.
He couldn't be any other way. To try to be anything else would be a denial of himself, and that wouldn't be him, Daniel. And how he lived and died was fully and courageously himself. And we so clearly saw how queerness shaped his approach to life and the life of those around him. To be queer is to shatter conventional aspirations, but in that mess are a million potential ways to recombine the fragments back into a full and fulfilling life. Growing up in South Carolina as a young gay person forced Daniel to define his own path, his own community, and how he experienced and showed love. He conjured an enormous amount of joy, chaos, and possibility. The most wacky and playful moments of creativity in my whole life were in his arms and in his orbit. It wasn't always easy or glamorous, but his conviction to be his truest self was profound, and it really mattered.
It's rare to meet people that are not only personally committed to an ongoing exploration of what life can be, but that also try to bring their best to bring loved ones along with them. Dan always affirmed my experience as a complicated, multifaceted person. We used to relish in absolutely smoking other skiers down a run who might have assumed that we were beginners. And it was satisfying when we would talk to see how, in a small way, we upended people's limited perspectives. As he stated it once to me, he was expertly gay, pro skier, and not boring. He rebelled so willfully against a limiting life. Every day he was determined to be free. And in this current reality, when marginalized people are contending with what it means to be free, let Daniel be a testament to all of us that what we gain when we make space for people to live authentically, and for what is possible when we allow ourselves to be imaginative. So to close, Marika and I worked really hard on this. It took us 5 hours yesterday. We were brainstorming. We want to leave you with words that we think represents Dan's legacy more than our words
It's
ever
a true
could.
poet.
It is a true poet. Okay, ready?
Yeah, you be close to the microphone.
I'm a bitch, I'm a lover, I'm a child, I'm a mother, I'm a sinner, I'm a saint. I do not feel ashamed. I'm your hell, I'm your dream. I'm nothing in between. You know you wouldn't want it any other way. Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai!
So up next, we've got Daniel's dear friends from Vassar, where he went to college, and they were also part of a group with him called The Limit, which was an incredible sketch group that I was so inspired by. Honestly, the work that you guys did and that Daniel did, and it was a big thing. It was a big thing in his life, as Dad said. It was when Daniel, I think, really, I don't know, unfolded his intellect and his humor in this incredible way, and you guys were a huge part of that. And so, without further ado,
Make sure it's queued up.
Sorry.
Hey, just a real quick intro. I'm Travis. Was in The Limit with Daniel. Truly an incredible experience to be in with him. And I wanted to share the first time I ever saw Daniel, because I was the year he entered and joined The Limit. I was abroad that first semester. So the first ever sighting of Daniel, he preceded me in this video. And I was in Europe, and I went, who's this little genius? And what's he doing in my group?
I'm Kristen Lauer, and I was Daniel's same year as Daniel at Vassar.
And I'm Jillian, and that's me in the video on the right. And if you want to talk to me later, tell me I look exactly the same.
Wi-Fi works. Yeah.
We live in a constantly changing, technological world, surrounded by computers, cell phones, and fluorescent lighting. But have you ever wished for a more beautiful, elegant time? Well, yes. Yes, I have. Do you like old-fashioned bustle skirts and lace ribbon gloves?
Yeah. Actually, I do. How did you know?
Do you like shiny, naked cherubs everywhere you could put them? Yeah. Totally. Do you like golden engraved floral designs covering every inch of your room?
Yes, of course.
Do you like gratuitous fountains?
Yes.
Do you wish you could put on 3 layers of expensive 18th century clothing and giggle with seemingly homosexual courtiers all day?
Yes.
Then you will be delighted by Kellogg's newest whole grain breakfast confection, Rococo Pops. A decadent combination of individually engraved crystal encrusted wheat globes, lavender silk confetti, extract from a Bengal tiger's thyroid gland, stardust, yellow dye number 5, and cocoa made with real Hershey's chocolate. Rococo Pops will leave you with a delicate taste of ostentatious aristocratic privilege and the secret feeling that you are superior to the unwashed masses. And beauty with them. Don't worry, I will tell.
I take my shoes off when I eat Rococo Puffs and invite the concubines to watch.
And kids love it.
When I was cleaning the floor with me tongue, and I already noticed if I were a member of the first estate. But then my mum made me cough it up and sell it for a farthing. But at least I get to taste it.
Oi, you! Give me that pop! Rococo Puffs are the perfect cereal delight for breakfast, second breakfast, pre-lunch, snack, lunchtime, afternoonsies, mid-afternoonsies, tea time, coffee time, fat bitch time, and dinner. 1 through 8.
I and Marie Antoinette emptied the town granary and filled it with Rococo Puffs.
It's true, darling. Then she filled it with 100 gallons of milk, water lilies, fountains, and swam in it naked with a dolphin for 3 days. Oh, what a queen indeed.
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 And for a limited time only, every Rococo Puffs box comes with free land vouchers! And inside, you can win a small principality in northern France.
Thank you, Rococo Puffs. Thank you.
Sure, it's not included. Next time you're preparing a feast, don't go for second the majesty of Rococo Pops.
Let them eat Rococo Puffs!
Part of a balanced breakfast.
I got to Vassar and okay. Oh, this thing. That's right. Okay, yeah. I got to Vassar and like had a very intense like crisis that I wouldn't make any friends, and so I was like, I need to find people. And I went to this like comedy thing, and I was like, I'll audition for these people. They're kind of weird, but like not too cool, but like cool enough. But like I could handle that stress. And I got in, and I was like, oh, friends. Because once you were in the limit, you were in it for 4 years. Like, it was like your troop. And you spent like a very unhealthy amount of time together. And then I found out who else was in the limit. And I think like I hit the jackpot to have Daniel like spend 4 years with him and in like sharing clothes, living together, like mixing brains together, like just so many crazy things we would do. Like so many things I've heard about him growing up were so there at Vassar, like always kind of corralling his belongings after him or like running from the library with like a hard drive, looking for the cord to plug it in 5 minutes for the show. Like lots of like just fake blood. We would go there places and film things. There's always like some sort of sticky soy saucy substance on his fingers while he typed on his laptop, and it like stressed me out so much that like something would stop working. Like having to like just beg him to export a video because like the show is in 45 minutes and it's gonna take an hour to export, and we need to get it ready for the show. We were just so close. I felt like I finally got this like weird like sibling where we could like bicker but love each other and just be so like no personal space ever and like just really entitled to each other's everything. And I would hear these stories about so many people I've gotten to see tonight, and it's like so cool to see like how he came who he is, and like thank you all for the gift of him at Vassar, because it was the best time of my life, and he is like in my heart forever, and just so bizarrely brilliant and all like the best ways where you're always like a little nervous but like pretty excited, you know. So
Okay, I'll be quick because I know Daniel would want us to dance. But like Kristen, I was in the Limit Comedy Group with at Vassar with Daniel, and I think, you know, I was a junior and he was a freshman, and it was such a privilege to see someone who was so intelligent and so effortlessly funny find the perfect channel for themselves, and to see someone who was so brilliant be in the perfect place and time for that is truly one of, you know, the gifts of my life. But Travis, who's now my husband, and I stayed close with Daniel after graduation. We saw him in Miami, we saw him in LA, and pretty memorably, he came to our wedding in Tuscany. And unlike most people in Tuscany who was just chilling by the pool, he was also chilling by the pool, but reading a 1,000-page book about Mussolini that he kept working into conversation. So it'd be like, we'd be like, oh, look at these Aperol spritzes. And he'd be like, the thing about Mussolini was, and you're like, wow, that's fascinating. But a favorite moment that's become kind of one of the legendary moments of our wedding is after those, you know, the ceremony and the dinner, we went downstairs into the wine cellar for this epic disco dance party, which I hope to recreate tonight. And a couple of minutes into the dance party, I was talking to my dad, and Daniel comes up to us. He was wearing a very crisp, extremely fashionable, you know, suit at the wedding. And he has somehow found a mesh shirt that he has changed into. And I could only describe it as slithers up to me and my dad. And he just looks at me and he goes, wouldn't it be great if there was a hot tub here? So Daniel, you are my boy. I love you forever. And thank you for everything you gave everyone in this room.
Have it changed. You're more beautiful.
That was amazing. Thank you guys for sharing that. And thank you for helping create these incredible videos that Daniel made with you. So next up, we've got we've got them listed as Daniel's Gopis. Here they are. So without further ado, Anna Nordine, Jenny Roble, and Victoria. Why can't I think of your last name? Canty. Sorry.
It's just Victoria. I'm a one word artist.
And I do want to say real quick that these two helped put this on a lot, especially Anna. I'm so grateful for you. You're like a sister, and you were a sister to Daniel and always will be. So take it away, y'all.
Thank you. I gotta say, when I was coming up with the decorations, I was just like, why did I come up with red? Why did I do this? And then everybody, like, Mikey was like, Daniel loved red. Like, it was his thing. And then I was just like, we need fruit. We need to fill it. We need fruit for the centerpiece. Buy a bunch of red fruit. Buy a bunch of plums and purple fruit. And everybody was like, do you know about the fruit salad video with Daniel? And I was like, I felt like, because I questioned myself a lot with the design or whatever, and I was like, why did I go with that? And then everyone just like kept reassuring, that's so Daniel, that's so Daniel. It's like, it felt very reassuring.
Sending you messages.
I just felt like he designed it. I was just like, yes. Also, Margaret was like, these are Daniel's older Baba girlfriend, or older girlfriends.
Older than him.
We're Daniel's old girlfriend. I'm just gonna. So I went through my text messages with Daniel, so I'm just gonna read my thing. Try to get through it real fast. I've known Daniel all my life. He was like a little brother. Grew up down the street from the iconic File family. But a stronger friendship developed during the pandemic. We kept finding ourselves in the same city, whether it was like Myrtle Beach or New York or LA or Palm Springs or New Orleans. Daniel was everywhere all at once. Looking through my texts with Dan, one says, back at my uncle's house in Colorado, thought of you as I played Savage Guard. Ooh, I want you, I don't know if I need you. Ooh, I'm dying to find out. In that memory, Dan and I were driving from Palm Springs to LA, blasting that song along with Cherry Lips' Go Baby, Go Go by Garbage. And that was the trip Natty passed out from dehydration at my birthday dinner. After we flew down a mountain in Williams' Tesla, blasting quicker than a ray of light. William driving, me, Natty, Jenny in the back seat, and Dan halfway through the sunroof like a beautiful lunatic, his hat lost to the wind, changing the lyrics from quicker than a ray of light to heading to jail tonight. We were wild and free that night, something Dan invoked in all of us. Somehow he always knew when I would land in Myrtle Beach, if he were here as well. The waves are good. Come to the beach now, like right now. Want to take? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm covering that, aren't I? Want to take the dogs for a walk? Martinis at mine in an old movie? Mini golf? You're suddenly in a gray Files minivan with Dan behind the wheel, heading to Pulse nightclub for a drag show and a dance in a cage, followed by riding the pirate ship at Family Kingdom. Me quietly clutching the rails in sheer terror while Dan is throwing his hands up, going, woo! He was my Instagram husband. That's what he's called himself. Always taking the time to get my perfect angle and editing the shots to make sure I look the cutest. Speaking of Instagram, last Halloween, I posted a pic of me in a banana suit. And he replied, I hope you rode a city bike. And I said, why? And he goes, because it would look hilarious. He was my karaoke backup dancer. One of my fondest memories was singing Miley Cyrus' Wrecking Ball while he picked me up dramatically and swung me around, and we did a whole ice-capade thing. He gave me dating advice. You need to find yourself a rich NYC daddy, hopefully one who wants to marry you, who has 5 to 6 years left to live, max, and no kids. Still looking for that NYC daddy. These are different things. Daniel is made up of. Daniel is made up of funny tattoos, Myrtle Beach Goodwill windbreakers, cheap 90s sunglasses, firecracker fights in the front yard, survivor of the family Kingdom roller coaster whiplash, yes. Nourished by Dodge's chicken and the world-famous Files pantry that every neighborhood kid rated like it was a rite of passage. Mushy Myrtle Beach waves, longboards, neoprene. Daniel was definitely a thrill seeker. Even as a child for a game, he loved to be tossed around the trampoline screaming, torture me. He didn't just live. He played life like it was the best damn arcade on the strip. Yeah. Always moving, always exploring, always loving of his family, his friends. And we were all lucky to enjoy. We were all lucky enough to ride along.
So lucky. I also knew Daniel his whole life. Margaret, his sister, is my oldest friend, my first friend. And I also grew up in this amazing Files family with that pantry with the cheese whiz and the tuna and the cookies in the oven. And we're talking about wrapped cookies in an off oven until somebody forgets and you turn it on. And there's Triscuits there too, but whatever. And I wasn't even going to give an introduction about myself, but there's some context. And Daniel and I's relationship is such that it's kind of heady, and so that's what I wrote about. And I'm sharing verse from other people that are smarter than me. But I do have context from Daniel's. I feel like it's been true for us, this relationship of twirling around up here and on the dance floor. And so I'll just get into it. Daniel and I like to talk beyond ourselves a lot, and from our own stories, we'd always zoom out, just preferring to consider the human experience writ large and messy, messier in the big picture, or messy in the big picture as much as in ourselves, and try to admire it as some divine art. Rather to enjoy all the follies and charm of just being a human doing, trying to experience connection and remember oneness through all the many frictions of being human. And so I want to share some verse that reminds me of Daniel and how he moved through the world with curiosity, deep feeling, intention, and an unshakable sense of adventure, even in moments of uncertainty. I made some edits so I can be brief here. So in the longing we have to that we all come into this world with, that we use to make sense of the world, the longing to make sense of the world, love is what we are always moving toward. And Baba said this, and I I cut Baba for time. I was gonna read some discourses. But if you want the discourses, you can talk to me afterward, or I'll send you to the Sherry Press store. But whether we're feeling hurt and confusion, or the elation from being together like we are right now, love is what we're always moving toward. And this poem by Rainer Maria Rilke feels to me like an echo of this knowing that we are each sent into the world filled with spirit, already connected, already enough. Go to the limits of your longing. God speaks to each of us as he makes us, then walks us silently out of the night. These are the words we dimly hear. You, sent out beyond your recall, go to the limits of your longing. Embody me. Flare up like a flame and make big shadows I can move in. Let everything happen to you. Beauty and terror. Just keep going. No feeling is final. Don't let yourself lose me. Nearby is the country they call life. You will know it by its seriousness. Give me your hand. And so I'll offer a little blessing, a closing blessing. That may we honor Daniel by continuing the adventure of being human with all its beauty and terror, and may we flare up like flames in the short time that we have, and leave behind shadows of warmth, of love, and of wonder. And may Daniel's spirit continue to move in us, in our laughter, in our questions, in the mountains we climb, and the joy that we refuse to miss. May he rest in peace of wild things, and may we carry his hand in ours as we keep going.
How do I go after that? Maybe I'll put on my my security blanket glasses.
So Jamie's glasses. So Jamie.
Why did I come up with this? Okay, well, in the spirit of I can't really do that actually. It was fun while it lasted. I will be honest, I didn't know that I was talking until a couple of hours ago because I forgot that I had actually said I might. So, but I thought about backing out, and then I thought about how much he meant to me and how much time we spent together before this happened. And he had become one of my closest confidants and I would consider one of my best friends, but like kind of a new one. And I have known Daniel my whole life almost. But somehow like Anna, and many of you, I think this is the interesting thing, is that all of us had these super personal relationships with him that made us all feel like we had a best friend or a soulmate. And how does anyone manage to get that much love from so many individual people? It's like, seems impossible, but he did so much in so little time. And he was so meaningful to me and to all of us. And I think I need to like just say that, because every single person in here has got this incredibly inspiring journey, whether it was 5 minutes of time or like a lifetime with him. Yeah. And we've seen a lot of that. But, you know, going to the limits of your longing is so interesting for him, that you just said that. And what I'm going to cut all mine short too. I wrote a lot of little notes down here. But someone earlier was talking about the poem that he wrote with "Have You Ever Seen the World on Fire?" And the last conversation that we had was when LA was on fire. He showed up at my house unannounced with Alfie, and he said, "The world's fucking on fire. Let's go get coffee." And I was like, "Shouldn't we stay inside here?" And he was like, "We will drive my car." And we drove my car 45 feet to the coffee shop. And Daniel and Alfie and I sat at a table Alfie sat in the chair as well at the coffee table, and we discussed life, the end of life, not knowing what was to come. And he talked to me about how he just like felt like he could never settle, but he wanted to go to Japan and have this like epic last adventure. He was so connected to Will, and in fact, I mean everyone, but just my journey with Daniel wouldn't exist without my relationship with you, Will. Will and I have lived in the same city randomly for like our whole lives. Like I've been in San Francisco and I've been in LA, and there was a stint in New York where I wasn't there, but Daniel always came to Will. So I always had a chance to be with Daniel in every part of my life. I was there when he came out. We took Daniel to the Castro and got him his first chocolate coconut covered penis cookie together, and it was a good time. Anyway, it was fun. I don't know, like there's so many funny moments like that and so many pivotal moments, and I feel hot tub moments, like all these things, but I was so lucky to like tether to him, but it was through my relationship with Will. And then the last like 5 years, he basically lived in LA a few blocks away from me, and we had coffee, we had lunch. One day he called me and he was like, hey, meet me for lunch in 20 minutes. And I was like, well, I'm going to be a little bit later than that. He's like, okay, cool. Well, I'm going to go for a run, and then I'll just meet you there. So I walked down, and I ran into him on the street early, and he had no shirt on and like pink pants and these glasses, like very this, and some shirt or some hat. And we were walking into the Thai restaurant, and he was like, hold on a second. And he went and opened the mailbox and pulled out his tank top that he had put there for later because I was running late for lunch. So he went on a run, put his tank top in, and he was like, I have to wear a shirt for lunch. So I just stayed. I was like, why is your shirt there? Why is your shirt in the restaurant's mailbox? And he was like, oh, I just put it there for later. Nobody's going to check it. Like, who's checking mail in the middle of service? And I was like, truly, there's never been a more Daniel thing in the whole world. I mean, maybe there has, but I was like, core memory unlocked, But I think, going back to the coffee date, we went into some deep things that day. I don't know why. I think, end of the world times, we're feeling pretty close for many, many reasons. And he was trying to explore his next chapter, and he kept saying that he couldn't really picture it, and that he felt like he needed to settle down in LA and maybe get an apartment finally. And I kept saying God, that really isn't your thing. I can't I was like, you say that now, but will you ever settle? I don't know. You don't need to settle, do your thing. And so Will knows this too. This is a very me and Will thing, but I love the pattern when everybody's going through a mental, this is an app, an astrology app that I love to dig into people's. I'm like, ooh, let's find out what's happening in your life. Anyway, Daniel's was very interesting, and it said that he was being pushed to confront what's been holding him back. It was a cycle that was coming to remind him to let go of what's no longer serving him, and it marked the end of a life phase. And that he needed to let go of the past, and he was coming to the end of a universal loop in time, and a life phase was finishing. And it doesn't mean that he'll embrace it, but what was happening was totally up to him. And I read it to him, we talked about it, and he was like, yeah, I really feel like something's happening, but I'll just have to figure it out after I go on this trip to Japan, which is the most exciting thing that I have on the books, and the world's on fire, so I'm ready.
Wow.
And that I just, I didn't know what I was going to say tonight, but I think that ultimately, somehow he knew he was finishing a life phase. And I think that if anybody lived their life to the fullest, to the nth degree, it was him. And, I'm so grateful for all the moments I had, and that I got to be there in this very special adult version of Daniel. I like what a gem and what a unicorn of a human being. And I mean, I don't know. That's kind of like the end of that's the news, as Daniel says. But yeah, and I think that for me and for maybe all of you, I hope that gives you some sort of special thing. You know, Baba says, like, you don't die before your time. And I really, like, I don't know, it was written in the stars and the astrology apps, and shit happens, you know? So with that, Jay Baba, love you, Daniel, magical unicorn creature.
Okay, so I know we're all eager to dance, but we still have.
Special.
What?
But this is so special.
But this is special,
We
and
will dance, Joy.
we will dance, yeah.
Dance will be there.
And all of these stories and everything are really special. So thank you guys. And we've got a few more people that we want to hear from. Margaret Bowling, who shared a great sense of adventure and acted on that adventure in some major ways. And Daniel did too. So, and really shared some special times with Daniel the past few years. So, Margaret, and then we're going to have some folks from Chaipani come up. Daniel did a lot with Chaipani and with me, and so we want that group to come up and talk a little bit about that. And then we're gonna have Margaret and Files family say a little bit more in a slideshow, and Billy Goodrum's gonna sing us a final song into the party. So just to let you guys know. And so without further ado, Margaret. Margaret Bull.
Thank you, Mikey, for emceeing so beautifully. I know it's very hard to keep it together in these situations. So last night, Billy was telling me a story about how he ended up in Pakistan at age 18 with not a single cent in his pocket and ended up at the American embassy and walked away with bags full of cash. And it didn't really surprise me because the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And, you know, it's a wild and free family, and Daniel was the most wild and free of you all, and that was what connected me to him. So when we first met, that was the thing that we sort of saw in each other, and I think it's something that doesn't make sense to all people. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about what it means to be out in nature and why Daniel did that so often. So we both shared a love of putting ourselves in risky and punishing situations in the wilderness that we really didn't have to explain to each other, but that makes no sense to anyone else. So I wanted to unpack a little bit about why people like Daniel and I do things like we do, and you know, life can be a little more finite when you choose to take that path. And the first is that nature's church. Many of us grew up going to the centre, but actually all of those amazing moments out in nature, that's church for us. And so when I look back at my text messages with Daniel, my favourite one was this incredible video from the Grand Canyon. First of all, I got a picture of him holding a muesli bar at the Grand Canyon, and then I got a video that was just the most spectacular thing, and he said, "Was here for sunrise." And I replied, "As close to heaven as we can get." And he said, "Indeed, or like to the ineffable face of God, facing something vast and unknowable, so beyond human scale." I said the Pavadigar prayer while gazing out over it, and it really hit different. So that's one of the reasons we go out into these crazy places, and that's the joyous part of it, but it doesn't come without its challenges. And when the sunset goes and the cold sets in and things get difficult beyond measure, and that risk and punishment we choose, it becomes a love story. And I know that sounds a bit strange, but bear with me. So when there's nothing else left and we've cleared the slate, the place we go to in our minds when we're out in these wild places is home and family and our friends and loved ones. And so we clear away all of the other distractions. And so I knew that that was what was happening in Daniel's last moments. He was with all of us. And that's it. Jai Baba.
So, Chaipani team, come on up.
Hey. Are you part of that team?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I'll stay up here. Yeah.
Ramona's here. Ramona.
We got Ramona. We got the whole team. Where's Isaac? Where's Isaac? Is he here? I think he's outside. Ike, if you're here, come join us. He's coming. He's coming. Okay, I'm also going to trim the story because I know we all need to get down and dance. So about 15 years ago, my husband Marwan and I started a little Indian street food restaurant with this truly remarkable, amazing group of humans. And we've been growing this business together, and Daniel has tapped in and out of our story in between his world adventures whenever he was in town, and he made big contributions. So there's so much that I want to share with all of you. I had to write it down, otherwise I'll just get up here and cry. But I'm going to trim them out because I know we're going to dance. But the thing I really want to share with you is a little bit about the absolute genius that Daniel was in his adult life, because I don't know if some of the people that knew him as a child knew this part of him. He just had this rare quality as an artist where it was like he couldn't even see any other path other than the most fabulous version of something. And everything else was just stupid or noise to him. So it was a little bit maddening sometimes to work with him because he had this stubborn determination to plow forward toward his vision, despite any practicality in the way. He just wasn't bothered by what other people thought about his ideas. He would crystallize around the vision. And that quality, in my opinion, is the mark of a real artist. So Daniel's legacy is forever woven into our restaurant story, and the contributions that he made are going to be forever with us. I want to share a little quick story about the most recent time, the last time that I saw Daniel. A hurricane came through Asheville and decimated our town. And I got to see another side of him, this man that he had grown into. I've known Daniel his whole life. I grew up with this amazing, beautiful group of people. But I didn't really know him as an adult. And so what was happening was our whole area was without power, without water, and no communication systems. And there was Daniel in there with us on day one with Mikey, scavenging our restaurants to see what supplies we could gather to make food for the community. And the community was in really desperate need of help. Daniel didn't even work for us at the time. He just happened to be in there helping Mikey hang photographs for a grand opening we were supposed to be having in that space. But there he was, rummaging through the dark in the walk-in with his cell phone flashlight, making lists of supplies for me to use to try to figure out what we could provide with, for food for our community. And it was kind of like one of those extreme TV chef challenges where you get this basket of food and you have to make a meal. But this was like, what supplies can you rummage to cook for 1,000 people within 3 hours to drop from a helicopter? So we worked off of Daniel's list of supplies, and it was the Usahavis kitchen crew that was right there, first in line. Ben Goodrum, Mikey, Charlie Eaton, Matt Shepard, Isaac. Those were the people that showed up. We had been trained for this, by the way, after 30-some-odd years of working for my mom in the Usahavis kitchen. And Daniel took all that knowledge that he'd learned, and in that makeshift tent kitchen, he brought it into this space, and he banged out a food production line, and he totally crushed it. And the thing is that while we were making these sandwiches, he kept bringing up the fact that he had seen some tapioca. in the walk-in, and he wouldn't let it go. He just kept talking about this tapioca, and I couldn't figure out how to drop tapioca from a helicopter because it was like we had to have food individually wrapped, and it had to be easy for people to eat, and practical. So, in real classic Daniel style, he just kept bringing it up. And then a few days, like, if we're in this now, like, it's disaster zone, it's really serious business. And then randomly, we're sitting there making food next to each other in this food line, and he goes, "What if we deep fried the tapioca? We could make fried tapioca balls." And I'm like, first of all, I don't know how to drop tapioca balls from, the helicopter. But the thing is, it never would have occurred to Daniel to not keep burning brain cells to find the brilliant solution to the tapioca predicament. That was just how wild and creative his mind was. It's how he worked. And I loved it. It was his signature stamp. So on that first day of the emergency response, it's like he just jumped in the deep end with us without hesitation. Heart first. I was blown away by what an incredible worker he had become, and also just to his dedication to make magic in the middle of disaster. He knew how to make things sparkle, whether that was editing a film clip, which is part of the legacy that he's left with us in the work that he did for Chaipani, or whether it was helping a community in need. He followed his heart with a very rare kind of carbonated energy and style. The impact he made on all of us here is never going to be forgotten. To close this out on a personal level, I just want to share. I grew up watching Daniel grow up, and I loved watching this boy surf. For many years, he helped me pull together surfing lessons at the Usahavas, and the way that Daniel rode waves, it felt to me like he had to remind his body to obey the laws of gravity, because otherwise he might forget. It seemed like he was just always pushing the edge in order to feel the most free. So now, when I think of Daniel, I can see him flying free, finally unbound by the laws of gravity. He's soaring without restraint. He's wild and he's free, just like he lived. Thank you. Maddie, do you want to add a little something?
Come on.
You can stay here too.
Okay.
I just want to add that Daniel was such a person of service. Molly articulated it well. When me, Mikey, and Daniel went down to Atlanta to start Chaipani Decatur, we walked into this place that was like literally this restaurant that was there before. They just like closed one day and never came back because they moved somewhere else, but they left like there was still mussel shells on the floor and like wet stuff in the steam tables, and we just had to go at it. And I remember Daniel saying, "It's like we're bringing King Theoden back to life." And we lived in this like disgusting, before we got a house to live in, we lived in this like really funky, nasty motel in Decatur. Me, Mikey, Daniel eating Cheetos, whatever, like working 12 hours a day and like goofing off. And I just would keep seeing Daniel. There was always some element of service going on with him when I saw him in all the different places that I saw him. And to just add a exclamation point to the disaster time, you know, I was doing a lot of different things, including the Chaipani stuff, but I would show up to different decimated areas. I'm like, I'm going to go down to the River Arts District and like take it in and see what's going on. And I literally ran into Daniel just there helping random people sort through this like cartoony mountain of debris that had like washed up against this 2-story huge former candle factory art studio, and he was just there working and doing that, and then coming and grabbing chainsaws, and he went up to Marshall, which is another town that got decimated. So along all this stuff, as we're piecing it all together, Daniel's heart was so huge. He was so full of love, and it's reflected in all these stories, and also reflected on his real, like, despite all the travel and fun things he did, he was also boots on the ground, caring about humanity, and I'll always take that away from my memory of him.
Thank you, guys. This is it, Margaret. Yes, it's now time for Margaret Files. Although, did William or anyone go? Did you? Okay. Okay.
All right.
So, without further ado, Daniel's true second mother and beloved sister.
It is true. No, I actually don't have much to say because you've all said it all. So thank you all for being here tonight and sharing those stories, because I didn't want to say anything because I was like, how do you sum up someone like Daniel? And I think that's what you've all kind of done so beautifully, is both to share so many specific ways he's touched your life and inspired you, but also I think left us all thinking about how much more we could say if we could stay here all night. But we can't. We're going to dance. So I'm going to introduce the slideshow, but I'm just going to share one slightly hokey thing someone said to me as kind of a parting thought. And someone told me, try to be the thing you love the most about the people who are gone. And I think a lot of people, that's kind of what they shared about Daniel tonight. Or maybe maybe you didn't know him well and you've learned something about him that you want to try to live on more in your own life. Or, I don't know, take a moment and think about it, maybe as we watch this slideshow. But really just want to thank everyone for sharing, because there's just so much to Daniel, and I think you all helped us unpack it and remember it, and we're all going to remember it for forever. So thank you.
Oh, also, I just wanted to say, thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for everything, and thank you so much to everybody that helped put this on, the tech team, Sarah, Anna. I mean,
Countless.
there's so many people. Everybody, Gabe, Cliff, Jonas. I can't name them all, but it was a wonderful. So many people. You just gave and helped make this happen for Daniel, and for our family and for all of us. So let's party.
So,
sorry.
This feels like it's not quite. If this sound isn't great, don't worry about it. We'll just sing loud. Here's the idea. I just want to say I love Daniel. I met him when in 1996 in whoop. I met him in 1996 in India when he was jumping on Drew's back. And then I last saw him in Los Angeles. My son Ben and Daniel and I went for a hike this past December, which was really beautiful and really sweet. And so we're going to, Daniel, as we all know, which is why we're here, like life to be big and colorful and fun and dramatic. So what we're going to do is we're going to sing together a very sing-along song. And we want to sing it. We want to make it a moment for him, for us, for Baba, but we want to sing it really loud, so it's incumbent that you all sing as loud as possible. The idea, Janet wanted me to say this, that we sing loud enough that so whoever is currently meditating in the lagoon cabin, basking in the quietude, that they can hear us faintly, and they may think it's a sign from Baba. Which would be an act of mischief, which Daniel would love. When people keep repeating that you'll never fall in love, everybody keeps retreating, you can't seem to get enough. Let my love open the door. Let my love open the door. Let my love open the door to your heart. Let my love open the door. Everything feels all over. Everybody gets you down. I'll give you a 4-leaf clover. You're so lucky I'm around. Let my love open the door. Let my love open the door. Let my love open the door to your heart. Got the only key to your heart. I can stop you falling apart. Try today, we'll find a way. Come on and give me a chance to say, let my love open the door. It's all I'm living for. Release yourself from misery. There's only one thing that'll set you free. That's my love. That's my love. That's my love. That's my love. When tragedy befalls you, don't let it drag you down. Love can cure your problems. You're so lucky I'm around. Let my love open the door. Let my love open the door. Let my love open the door to your heart. Let my love open the door. Let my love open the door. Let my love open the door. Avatar meherbaan ki jai.